Afternoon. It's about 3:23 p.m. local time, the Monday before the 4th of July. And I don't think I better wear too much more red to these sessions. It is not looking well. I'll probably sit here for about a half hour or so. I have another call for some business at 4:30, but being Monday and my first Monday home out of the last 3, it's work day. Meaning put my charts together and all that. I am getting fairly caught up. I still have to find another couple entries, and then I'll put my bluegrass to rock entries in tonight. My weekly chart stuff is in, and I got to put everything in the order for my mid-year chart next. And then tonight I got to go up and make some hot dog sauce for the holiday. Of course, the holiday started early here in a sense. Between field day on Saturday and the neighborhood picnic last night, no shortage of whatever. Casseroles, salads, burgers, hot dogs. Okay. As far as BRC is concerned, let's see here. No, I don't want toolbox. I want my Q&A up. We are at mid-year. June was slow as was expected. Listener hours are still down, but I'd say, other than the fact that I was missing for a little bit, they've been fair for the last few weeks. There is no shortage of new music out there. The bluegrass release season is getting hot and heavy. Not much happening recently on the Western Swing thing, but anything could pick up. I am hoping to get a hold of the Jason Roberts album. On the honky tonk side, there's the new stuff from the Saddle Tones, from Marty Hill and Kimberly Murray, and coming from Jay Jack. And I have to get my hands on the new Willie Nelson and the new Dave Albin album. Excuse me, the new album from Dave and Phil Albin. And if anyone happens to watch this and has any inside track to get me some tracks, feel free to get in touch. It is good to get home from a trip, all the travel and that, but I really enjoyed Alaska, and it came and went so quickly. I can't believe it was last August we started planning that, and now it's done. I do have concerns about those people that are up that had planned to go on to Denali. I heard they had to evacuate the lodge and all that, so I hope the people got out okay. And if you have not done a cruise before, I would highly recommend it. Just looking at the mail here. Nothing urgent. I just posted the charts and all that, so just checking. But I said Alaska was really awesome. I see there's a country music cruise coming up next January that looks interesting. They're also going Holland America, so might be something to think about. But I think I'd really like to do a bluegrass cruise if I could find a roommate. For all the broadcasting I do not get out to as bluegrass as I would like. And I am really looking forward to next week. Remington Ride Festival comes over the Center Hall about 5 miles from me. And we're getting the likes of Joe Mullins, Junior Sisk, Rhonda Vincent, and a few other acts of that caliber. Festival will run Thursday to Sunday. I probably will not go Sunday, but hopefully all 3 days, Thursday to Saturday. Last year I lost a day because I had another event that evening and I wasn't sure what the weather was going to do. And then after that I have a couple appointments, a few weeks of calm, and then on to the local fair, our beach trip, and IBMA. And I'm guessing that it might be this week that the second round votes are coming out for the IBMA awards. Be anxious to see if anybody interesting got through the majors. I try not to vote for the obvious. But on the other hand, I could be a little more familiar with some of the instrumentalists. So I often wait for the third round to vote for those. There is some decent bluegrass music that is coming out on labels other than the major ones for the genre. Just had an album this morning from a flat picking champion in North Carolina without a label. And last week we had one from a group from Southern Oregon, $2 Mountain, who I remember programming their second album in 2012. And I think I need to make a video announcement and put it up somewhere about these people that are loading to AirPlay Direct. I had 2 different incidents this morning where I picked things up and the metadata was not complete. Title line, total, which is not good for the DJs. If somebody is loading it rapidly and their program doesn't take it, you're going to lose the play. In my case, with my automation that runs my station, I do load things ahead. However, if I'm in a rush, it's still going to make it a little awkward. My software was refusing things this morning. So, moving on towards the second half of 2014, not too much change coming up. I would like to find a way to acquire a little more Western swing. And I'm hoping maybe somebody will give me some nominations for their awards. Their nomination season starts about September. And of course, like I said, there's 2 rounds, and then the Bluegrass Awards come up. And I don't know when I'll get to see some of the honky tonk people again. And let me tell you offhand, if you're going to take the time to go to Alaska, watch where you turn on your phone. People warned me. I thought I was on Wi-Fi and I wasn't. I got hit for bills in Canada and hit for bills on international waters. Because I could reach, on the international waters thing, I could reach a signal and follow things. But even though I was in what I thought was Alaska, they considered it international waters. Fortunately, AT&T cut me at a point, and I had some arrangements, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It also helped that I got a pretty decent deal on the stateroom. I don't know what's going to happen with the Association of Bluegrass Broadcasters. Things have slowed down for the summer, and we were hoping to make some things official in October, and I don't know. Have to see how that falls through. But I'm going to stand by it as long as it's there. So, what do people think about the fact Willie Nelson is the top country album this week on Billboard? I need to get it and program something. I think it's great in a sense, but I also know that Billboard is not the best chart for specialized music. Billboard does a great job in general, but the people that Billboard tracks are, or I should say, the way Billboard tracks things does not put it in the same kind of category as a lot of things. I guess tracking overall has its deals. I'm going to have to put the sheet over a little tighter. I can see the edge of the sofa there. We've had some of the discussions and what somebody might classify as bluegrass that makes it on the Billboard might have very little rudiments of bluegrass, or maybe something that has been around for over a year. With so many ways to chart things, there's no way you're going to get a standard. But my thoughts are, personally, since the software I have cannot track precisely how many people have heard a track, my idea would be how many times a week a track is played as the basis, and as far as release deadline, no earlier than, no more than 120 days or 4 months. There's enough music out there. You can make a top 20 in 4 months with a 4 months cutoff. And believe me, there is a lot of good bluegrass coming out right now. It's the hot season. And some of it doesn't make sense to me because we start our voting process. It's a March cutoff, and we start voting in May. So if you put out something in April to June, you got to have people really think about it to get it on the charts. To get it in the consideration the following year. I agree not everything should come out at once. However, the way we vote, I think you're going to make more of an impression with something you put out January to March than you might over the summer as far as people remembering it. And I don't like this concept of putting a single out to get something on the, get yourself in consideration for awards for every year. I understand the problems of making an album, and I've said before, my feeling is the best time to go in and make a bluegrass album is during the downtime from maybe October to December and have it done. And if everybody's schedule's like that, the studio people are right there, and if there's not one person to work with, there's probably another. So, but nevertheless, there is really a lot of new stuff coming out. I'm following the sophomore album from Flat Lonesome, following Dave Atkins, Frank Sullivan and Dirty Kitchen, Balsam Range. I know the Gibson brothers have something coming. I guess Daly and Vincent will have something before the cutoff next spring. And I'm guessing the Boxcars will, but I'm not sure which lineup. And that's right, Michael Cleveland and Plainkeeper. I'll just have to keep track of all this stuff and see what happens next week, who I might run into at the festival with new stuff. Okay, I've been here about 20 minutes. Probably going to keep it on for another 10. Go upstairs and start to defrost Hamburg and take a little break before I come down for some other business. Hope everybody has a nice holiday. One thing, the Bluegrass Festival season does not take the break. It embraces the holidays. Although there was quite a bit last week. Competition is where to go. You had the Red, White, and Blue Festival in North Carolina. You had Romp. You had Jenny Brook. And a couple other things. And it's rough to get those all the same weekend. Red, White, and Blue used to be different. They used to run it so it ran over the 4th of July, but I guess things change. The one decent festival that would have run this week is the other one that's not too far from me, Out Among the Stars, and they decided to shut down. Now, Remington Ride Fest is trying to capitalize on that. The one weekend in State College where there are a lot of people from out of town. We have a huge arts festival. There are entertainment groups that come in, but not that much necessarily bluegrass. The biggest festival is downtown. There's also one that's more local oriented in Boalsburg, which is between State College and Center Hall. But my feelings is, for the most part, the people coming for the Bluegrass Festival are not necessarily the people that are interested in arts festivals. So they might channel off each other slightly, but not strongly. What I can picture is somebody bringing their camper to the Bluegrass Festival and maybe Sunday afternoon or one evening getting away and going over to check things out at Boalsburg. Okay. Sunshine makes my hair color look a little different than usual. Well, see what else is happening here. Oh. No, I didn't. Sis, if you're looking in, I don't see you as a viewer or with questions. But if my favorite canine is there, arf arf. Hope your unpacking and repacking is going okay. That's a message to my friend Cindy, who says she's setting some things up here on Google. I thought maybe she'd pop in. So I'll pretty much be around the next few weeks. Anybody has anything they want to talk about or suggestions for the station? As for my friend Ray Parton, I'm still in shock. I think he used all his posts to try and boost his ego a little bit. Took 2 days for folks to figure out he was missing or till somebody found him. And I also saw that he was between jobs. He seemed like a great guy. I did get to meet him once. And I guess he did some interesting DJ work when he was in Texas. And then he moved on to Georgia. And what he was doing there was more music, less talk. Mostly the ads and things. But he really loved Nashville. And 2 years ago, he took the chance to move there. And even though he did get some interesting things, he just couldn't emotionally handle I'm guessing he could not emotionally handle the short jobs and on to the next. Nobody knew it was coming. I was as shocked as everybody. And there I was, one of the only times of the year that it's 1 or 2 times a year I'm with my brother and his co-workers or friends, and I turn it on and get this news. And then a bunch of amateur radio operators. I was up at the field day site for Whiskey Free Yankee Alpha, the amateur radio club, and their setup just happened to be right across town. So getting rides down there was easy. I enjoyed knowing Ray. I was supposed to see him again last year for a march, but he was coming and never got around to getting there. And our phones were messing up to talk. But Ray had been good to me. He had done a couple of bumpers and all that. So I think I'll bring that up as my last subject. Bumpers are welcome. If you listen to the station, you probably heard me talking quite a bit on PSAs, which come after every few tracks, or when you tune in. And if you're listening on the premium side, meaning you're either a new listener or you're paying to listen on the premium side, you don't get commercials, but you do get the PSAs. As far as standards for PSAs, MP3s, at least 144, preferably 320, no longer than 30 seconds. And if they are longer than 30 seconds, they will probably most likely be inserted into the regular playlist, and you might hear they might only be broadcast 4 or 5 times a day, whereas the ones under 20 seconds are broadcast at least once an hour. Okay, it is 3:55 p.m. I got something coming up next hour, so I want to go upstairs a few minutes and catch up. So, maybe I'll try another session tonight after I get the hot dog sauce underway. And while I'm working on the mid-year charts. So, I'm going to cut this off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.